What's going on? What's up?
What's up, Pop?
We are back. King to a prince, the royal code.
Already know how we rocking, man.
Exactly. So what's the deal, man? This is a late one. I like
Yeah,
this though.
it's like on some late night.
Yeah.
I got my wine and water.
That's cool.
Uh-huh.
That's cool. So how you been doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I got games tomorrow morning, chilling, getting right for that.
It's a lot that's been going on, man. Like when you look at it, just everything with like the NBA playoffs, with the NFL draft, and then, one of the biggest things that's been going on in the media, and it's kind of quiet right now, but it was something that, it's still out there, that whole Shannon Sharp situation, man. It's
Yeah, a lot is coming out. A lot is coming out about that.
and I hope and wish for the best for him in that situation. The very
Definitely.
first thing I want to say is, in no shape or form do we condone any type of violence towards women or any type of
Facts.
assault. You know what I mean? Like, that right there
Right.
is just a no go. But when you look at like three things, you look at the litigation in the media, you
Hmm.
look at the court of public opinion and the whole filing on a Sunday, I think how it, came about. And it's like,
Hmm.
listening to a lot of sports channels and just different sportscasters and journalists and just, everything. The thing that they were saying, because of everything that's going on with, like, the whole NFL draft, with the NBA
Yeah.
playoffs, when you file on a Sunday or on a weekend in general, it gives you the momentum to talk about it throughout the whole week. You know what I mean? So it kind of overshadows everything that's going on, because this is something so serious. And we're talking about, a real respected and loved figure within the media world, and, ex NFL player, so
Yeah.
it's crazy because just everything that's coming out, as far as the money that was offered, the money that she's suing
Yeah, like
for.
10 mil.
Yeah, and I think she was suing for like 50 million. And I think he was at a point where he was about to reach a major deal within his podcast. And then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
now this is coming out, So sometimes when you look at that, in my opinion, it's like it's a lot more behind what's really going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you never know who's in this girl's ear, what they're telling her. And, this is a
Yes.
real unfortunate situation. So,
I've seen a lot coming out in terms of like the text messages and the audios, and I'm not going to say that like it can't be true, because there's definitely a lot of cases where men are doing these things to women, women are telling the truth. So, and especially there's definitely more cases that they're telling the truth than not. So I definitely want to make that understood. But a lot of these messages and audios, like they sound so like AI fabricated, like Shannon is a public figure. You probably can get a clip of him saying almost every single word in the dictionary between all of his interviews. So it wouldn't be impossible. And if you have the money behind it, it's just an investment at this point, because you
yeah,
turning down 10 million. Only way somebody is turning down 10 million is if they know they can get 50.
exactly.
That's the
Exactly.
only way somebody gonna turn down 10 million, because
And you
that's
look at
not no
who,
everyday money.
and you look at who her
Yeah.
lawyer is. It's the same one that went after Jay-Z, and, he lost that situation. But when you have people like that, they're looking at the bigger picture. Like you said, they're not
Mhm.
looking at that 10 million. They're like, well, we can triple and quadruple that. You know what I mean? You just got to stay the
Definitely.
course. But at the same time, it's like, what I did hear about the text messages were, she was saying certain things that it was like, well, like you saying one thing in the text message, which is normal. And of
Mhm.
course, anybody has, especially a woman in that situation, if they decide, well, I just don't want to be or deal with whatever we were talking about once we're face to face, again, that's also understandable. But
True.
what's coming out now about it is like, well, where's all of this coming from? You understand what I'm saying? And then I heard
Mm.
she wanted, I guess, to have a baby. He didn't, so, and the thing about it is, you've seen cases like this before where women have tried to play this game on professional athletes. He's not the first. I'm sure he won't be the second. And it's not even just athletes. It's just people with a celebrity status and money, so
Yeah.
it's an ugly situation. I hope, once we get more of the facts, I hope it works out, what I mean, for him. The one thing I will say, if this is not true, then I think in my opinion, he needs to take that litigation fact back towards her. You know what I mean? Because you look at the slander, which is already done on his name. It's messed him up with ESPN. It's a
I was
good
about to say
thing.
he off of ESPN. Like,
You know what I mean? Like that's bad, because you just think about it, son, when things like this happen, regardless, his legacy in some sense is kind of tarnished because it just
mm,
came up. Any type of sexual assault or rape or, pedophilia, anything when your name gets associated with that, you have to fight back. But in some senses, some people are still, because again, that's the court of public opinion. People's opinion of him.
especially on social media, like you got those people that will hear something for the first time, and like once those other facts come out, like he could have been like proven innocent throughout all of this, but you'll have those people that have only seen him in the negative light or all the things that point to him being guilty. So, and they running and telling people that maybe don't even have social media. So you have this like wildfire of misinformation being spread. It just comes to those like situations where you gotta have discernment. You can't put yourself in those type of scenarios, those type of real life situations where you dealing with people who are maybe out to get you, who are planning to conspire against you. Because where is this girl coming from? How, like, this girl is younger than me, and growing up, I didn't even know who Shannon Sharp was. I didn't know who Shannon Sharp was until he
Yeah,
started getting with Skip Bayless. And of course, I know he was a football player, but he was a lot older. He retired before I even started playing football myself. So it was
yeah.
like I didn't really know who Shannon Sharp was. So for this girl to be introduced to him and be in the same circles like him, that's purposeful. She ain't looking for Shannon Sharp on Instagram. That's not somebody that she looking to. But once he starts
Mm-mm.
building up this status, maybe that her lawyer or maybe somebody else in her team or somebody that she's working with or somebody else trying to get in with that bag is maybe putting her in that right direction. Because I can promise you, if Shannon don't work out, he not gonna be the last person that gets targeted, that gets
Of course
selected,
not.
that gets
Of course
yeah,
not. That's why people have to get smart. And then you look at it, and
mm,
I'm not taking nothing away from anybody who's on OnlyFans, but you
yeah, do
see
what you
with
do.
OnlyFans, they look at how they can catapult themselves into the next whatever it's going to be, whether if it's going to be fame, whether it's going to be getting that money. It's going to come down to something. And if they can get a celebrity or somebody with some type of money to
Mm,
fund, or you know what I mean? Because when it's a situation like this, it's always an agenda. And again, like you said, you don't know, it could be her friends, it could be family members that's in her ear. Oh, nah, don't
yeah,
worry about that. Just keep going, keep doing this, keep saying this, feeding that. And then that person, if they're so naive, and again, she's young, so she could be manipulated from behind the scenes. And if he's or anybody is not keen to these type of situations and not really paying attention, and just because sometimes you think about it, you play basketball, I'm an actor, sometimes we get caught up in the hype, especially when we're on top, especially when we're winning. So what happens
mm,
is we get clouded. situations become very jaded. So what ends up happening is we just are so enwrapped into like that moment, feeling good, we don't see everything that's coming. You know what I mean? And that's why it's good to always have good people in your corner. It's always good to always keep God first, keep a strong surrounding. And but the main thing, you have to stay grounded as a person. You see, Monique was talking to him, Cat Williams was talking to him, and just telling him, because again, now he's going from the sports media to, once you get into the podcast like his, and he started bringing in, that Cat Williams, it just took him from one point to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And then really more people started paying attention to him. And what ends up happening is now you're around a different circle. You're not around just, professional athletes. Now you're around more musicians, more actors, more billionaires and millionaires. You're around people that you can be in that same room with, but why would you if you're not a part of that same, circle?
Yeah,
But once
not
you
in that
start
circle.
that media, you're in a different circle, so, and I hope for us, we get in that circle, which we will, not necessarily hope, we definitely will get in that circle, because I believe when you say hope, you bring doubt. So I believe if I know we're going to be in that circle, but at the same time, besides us looking out for each other, I've taught you enough, and from what I've learned, to where you got to be able to sometimes get your third eye open, and you got to peep and see the scenario before. Be like 2-3 steps ahead before it even happens. You know what I mean? So that way you can keep yourself like, all right, I see where this is kind of going, and you gotta. Sometimes it's okay to bow out and get out the way. You know.
No, exactly. That's why I even think that goes to show like who Unc really got around him. Like us going into that space, we know we'll always have each other. We know that there's different things to look out for. You know that there's things that you would have to look out for, and I would have to look out for, and it's gonna look different because one, we have different desires, we have different things that we want, we have different dreams and goals that we want to chase. So the things that we pursue are gonna look a little differently. The things that would entice us are gonna look a little differently. So we would have to be able to look out for each other in that sense. So I can already
Exactly.
say like Shannon probably ain't got nobody that's around like 20, 30 that know what that look like, that know what that type of shakedown look like. Like, oh nah,
Yeah.
like she's one of those like girls like not to call out nobody specifically, but a lot of those girls that would be like on DJ Academics podcasts and stuff like that. It's like you see them around, like like, oh yeah, that's how they move and that's what they gonna do. And it's like if I tell you and you still make that move on that, that's up to you. You knowing how you gonna get around that. But if you choosing to just be oblivious, there's certain things like this are gonna happen. Because I'm pretty sure somebody done told Shannon to watch out. Like, oh yo,
Exactly.
she 19, she on OnlyFans. Like maybe Shannon, he was probably like, you know what, like nah, I got it. Like I'm cool, and I done had
Being clouded,
girls,
being,
her mom.
caught up in the moment.
He was
So,
like, I done had girls her mama age. Like,
yeah,
I can handle that. So it's
yeah,
like, and like you said, you can get caught up in those moments. It was like, even me, like getting jumping on early to the music scene. It was like, yo, you so eager to just be like, continue that light, continue being popping, continue being lit, continue being hype, continue being seen. So it's like you thinking that everybody got your best interest, or everybody is like seeing you for how you seeing yourself, or seeing you how your loved ones see you in that light, and they don't.
mhm.
So they just want to take what they can and keep it moving the same way because everybody is their own main character in their story. So
And
they
see,
ain't got your best interest.
and it goes down to, and it's true because you know, I, I don't know if you've ever heard of that podcast. I think is it Fresh and Fit, where the guy Myron and
Yeah,
I forgot
yeah,
the other.
yeah.
And they have a lot of women on
I
there, and
don't really
there's,
mess with them.
yeah, sometimes I look at it sometimes because I see like the type of interviews that they have on there, but they do have a lot of those women
Mm,
that consider themselves the high value women, and it's
yeah,
they use that term so loosely because a lot of those women, and I'm not knocking them, they are who they are. I'm not here to judge or criticize anybody because who am I to do that? But a lot of them, they are out for, they have an intention. You know, you hear a lot of them say if a man doesn't make over, you know, $200,000-300,000, then he can't deal with them. But then you ask them, well, what do you do? Well, I don't do anything, but I can help him create more revenue. But how? You know what I mean? Like if I'm creating my own revenue, if you're not bringing anything to the table, then what are you going to do? How are you going to help me? If you don't know my business, if you're not helping me in that sense, if you're not even knowing the behind the scenes of my business, then how are you helping me? Oh, but I'm just giving you ideas and I'm here to motivate you. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? If you're not
And I
bringing
think
something
that
to the
goes
table,
for
go ahead.
that would go for anyone in any type of relationship because it's like if you somebody that knows how to make $500,000 and I don't know how to do that, what am I really bringing to the table if I'm not even trying to be on some type of assistant or if anything, that's why a lot of people like be paying for mentors because like that information is not free. You're not really bringing nothing to the table. That's why it's like a lot of those dudes that do consider themselves high value men and they making that type of money would be like, oh yeah, like you guys are a liability. Like y'all not
Mhm.
assets. So, and then a lot of
And
them
what
don't really
happens when
have.
you're dealing? What happens when a lot of those women are dealing with those type of men? They're going to be more than it's going to be multiple women. They're not going to just
Yeah,
deal with one woman. And it's like you have that opportunity to say, okay, I can deal with this or I'm not. If you can deal with it, then of course you're in it because you're getting something out of it. You know what I mean? But if you can't, then you move on. And that's where the values of the morals of that person comes through. But a lot of these women that I'm seeing on these specific podcasts or just the way they're talking with social media and OnlyFans, it's some type of agenda. It's some type of intention. You know what I mean? And
mhm,
the end result is to get that money. It's to get paid. And I'm not
yeah,
saying it's all bad. It's not all intentions don't necessarily have to be bad. You know what I mean? But to me, I would rather want to know from the get go what you're out and then let me make that assumption if I'm going to decide, all right, I can deal with this person or not. You know what I mean? Because there is some men that are okay with that type of woman because it could be just about sex. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yo, we just here to have fun. We go out, we do this, you know, get your money the way you want to get it. I'm not going to stop you. Don't stop me. And we can just keep it moving. But when you are in that situation where you're not like that or you're so kind of used to a certain caliber of lifestyle, then all of a sudden now you're in a more faster light. If you, like you said, if you don't have the right people around you to kind of tell you like, nah, you know, be easy with that. Maybe this type of woman at this age, whether it's young or older, but this type of woman is okay for you to deal with and to enjoy your lifestyle like that. But over here, you know, this ain't the right ones. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's it's something that I look at this whole entire situation because it's happened too much, you know,
mhm,
and it's sad because it happens a lot to black men, you know, and it's not necessarily just athletes or professionals because there's a lot of men that are in prison on some false imprisonment, you know what I mean? Some BS.
mhm,
And it's sad because a lot of them have lost a big portion of their life or they're never coming out, you know, so you just you look at all of these situations in a situation like this, the reason why it's so heavily talked about because again it's in the media and you know how
mhm,
social media is, they fuel off of positivity and they really fuel off of negativity because that's what
yeah,
sells, you know what I mean? So you look at this situation and you just say, okay, what am I learning from this? What can
exactly.
I take from this? What can I teach from this? And, you know, just go with it. So, again, I really do hope this works out for him because I got love for You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
I really like Shannon Sharp, bro. I've
Mhm,
been a big supporter of him since he was playing football. never played on my favorite team, but he was still a very dope football
Uh,
player. And just
mhm.
what he's doing with his podcast and just being on, with Skip Bayless, because he
Yeah,
brought
he
it to
turned
Skip.
that
He
show back
came back
up.
and got Skip. Exactly.
Yeah,
He speaks for us. So I wish him the best in this situation. And again, I hope whatever is going on with this female, I hope she gets whatever she needs to get as far as like help if this is some BS.
hmm
Again, like I said, I don't wish assault or believe in that towards any woman. You know what I mean? Wrong is wrong in any situation. So,
yeah,
but
exactly. Now, if
yeah,
he's wrong, then like let justice like be served. Like he ain't no he's nobody above the law. If he was definitely doing
exactly,
harm. So
exactly.
with
So,
that being said, like I said, hopefully both parties find some resolve in this.
yep. So yeah, man, that's been a good one though. So
Yeah,
here we are. But definitely
yeah,
we appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the way people are responding to it, like especially
loving it.
those first two in-person interviews. I mean,
Uh-huh.
not interviews, the podcast that we did. That was cool. And
Yeah,
we got
yo, that
more
was so
coming.
dope. I got so much reactions from that too. Yeah, a lot of people was loving that.
Yeah. And
We got
we,
to do a lot more
again,
special episodes
please.
like that.
Yeah, and again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm gonna always put the link down there, so it's the QR code. You could just take the picture, and it'll lead us right to our YouTube page. We have TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Scoops,
Facts.
we're on Clapper, we're on Lemon. I got us on. Well, we got us on all platforms. So please, we appreciate
Everything.
everything. You know what I mean? So
hmm
again, this is King to a Prince, the Royal Code. I am the King,
You're welcome. I am the Prince.
and you know
Yo,
how it
we
is.
out.
Y'all be good.